questions that still remain. Dr. Rahn Bailey, he joins us once again. People yearn to know the answer to the simple question, the one-word question, why? And in search of motivations, I suppose, could it be a wide variety of things? For some people, it gives them a sense of power to the powerless. For others, it's hatred. For others, still, it's revenge. Are all of those factors?
Oh, absolutely. I think clearly the why is as perplexing to those of us in the profession as to all in society. We generally, during these times, try as best we can to look backwards on what individuals have said during evaluations when placed in similar circumstances. And there are a few themes that I think are pretty consistent. A part earlier about fear and feeling impotent and unable to act out using normative measures or normative ways. But I think also there can be issues of revenge, this sense of entitlement, where persons may think that somehow they've been wronged by the system, by a government, by a country, by a university, if you will, and that they somehow have a right to strike out in these most violent and adverse fashions. We see that pretty often.
Doctor, this is Jamie Colby. I wanted to ask you this question during Greg's great interview where I learned so much. What is the difference between a young child that bullies another child, a domestic dispute, and someone that may be capable of doing something so heinous as this? If we had the chance to do an autopsy, as Greg assures me they are, on the older brother and study his brain, what could we learn about terrorism if, in fact, he is guilty of what we saw unfold this week?
Well, I think that those three items are of great concern to all of us. They certainly can be very different, but in most cases. But in a few rare circumstances, perhaps like this one, they could be along a continuum. Bullying certainly implies an individual takes advantage of their strength or their undue circumstance, they're bigger or taller, to put a smaller peer or at the disadvantage physically. When you move to the extreme of these type of random violent acts, there certainly are some similarities. The idea of using a bomb or weapons, certainly of these type of mass destruction, which can strike out in a large way in a short period of time, again against innocent persons, has some of that same theme, but it probably has been developed over a long period of time. I think in these individuals we've heard that they've been in the country for a decade or more, maybe with a simmering sense of a discontent. But all of the institutions that our country represents, these are all concerns that I think very often have been expressed in certain circumstances when individuals have been interviewed, and that's why they've engaged in this type of random acts of violence.
But is it anatomical, physiological, biological? What is it?
Well, clearly, I think that what we know about the neurobiology is that individuals who have clinical depression, a more specific example, are deficient, if you will, in some areas of a particular neurotransmitter. That's not really been forensically shown to be tied, however, to particular acts. Very often, more than biological, this is sociological. And the psychology is what's out of balance.
Or perhaps a combination of all the above, Greg.
Doctor, is Islamic terrorism a reaction to the perception, albeit mistaken perception, by terrorists that their fundamentalist beliefs are under attack and threatened with extinction, and therefore that belief drives them to justify any means, even the killing of innocent women and children, to achieve the end?
Well, similarly, we understand, I mentioned the term cause earlier. Persons have a variety of causes. It can be nationalism, it can be religion in some circumstances, it can be based on an economic mindset, for example, that they have been wronged and that they have they're in a rightful position to strike out because they have been the victim or victimized by the wrongful act of others or of other groups or institutions. My experience has been in interviewing persons that at times that is exactly what they might say, that because they've been wronged, they have the position, whether you term moral position or not, to harm others because indirectly they've actually been the victim. So the mindset that they are revenge is what very often allows them to think that this is rightful.
Dr. Rahn Bailey, you've given us some unique insights into the minds of terrorists, and thank you so much for taking the time.